Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and I finally got some in-person One Piece. So I've been lucky enough to get a lot of cards. I have access to great locals in PPG, and I've been able to get a lot of what I need for a lot of my decks. With that same thing being said, there will be 3 proxies in this green deck, but we'll get there when we get there. Either way, this is a match showcasing me trying to learn green. Even though I said green was the best deck of the format, and I still wholeheartedly believe it, this game is me getting slam jammed. And I know that might be a little bit of a spoiler, but the reason I say that is because it's important to also show losses. Show where we can improve as players and show how and where we messed up in this game. Now, we know as a green player that our game plan is we want to put as much aggro on the board as possible and then finish it off with our hero, right? That's always been our game plan. But nowadays, we can outvalue and outgrind our opponents more than ever with the 8-drop and 7-drop kids. The issue is I go for it a little too much. I try to outvalue the purple player a little too much, and I go ahead and I get punished heavily by their big bunguses that they just start slamming on me. So let's get right into the video and see if we can learn anything from my mistakes here, see if we can learn something about the matchup, and at the end of the day, just enjoy a little bit of One Piece. So I go ahead and I'm on the play, and I have the best possible opener for green. Bonnie on 1. Pass it back to my opponent. My opponent goes, and he's at 2 Dawn. He'll go ahead and tap 2, suspend 2 Dawn. And he's probably any 2K blogger, Black Maria, or this gentleman right here, which I don't know his name exactly. But he is a 2K blogger, 3K, 1K counter. I go ahead and I swing 5. By swinging with 5, it denotes that I'm going to use the rest of my Dawn to do something. Either to play cards, to search with Bonnie. There's a lot of weird numbers in green that could be played here. Like, there is something to be said about me going tap 1 for Bonnie into Uroj, tap 1 for Bonnie, or just play 3 more searchers, Beji, Bonnie, Momonosuke, or there's just a lot you can do with 3. The deck has so many low-end cards that you can just slam them on the board no problem, and they're just great value. So I was kind of fishing for a 2K. I'm aware that purple plays a ton of 2Ks, somewhere around the realms of 12. So I was hoping to swing with 5 and get over comboed, but my opponent does not. He pitches the jack. Go ahead and I trigger the Bonnie here. I'm looking at the top 5. It's Izu Killer, double Paradise Waterfall, and a structure deck Law. So with that, Bonnie search is only 2 cards I can add. It's the Killer and the Law, and I decide that it's time for the Killer just so I can go ahead and protect my Bonnie. Just kidding, I just played 2 more, 2 more 1-drop searches out, and that's perfectly fine. It would have been really cool if I had a Beji. Beji would have baited like both of his characters to swing, but unfortunately I didn't have it. So we'll see where my opponent goes from here. Doing a little think. He's at 4 Dawn at this point in time. There's a lot that, again, purple can do a lot with 4 Dawn. Maybe start off with the Kaido swinging over the Bonnie, because that's something that's almost always going to happen. I can't go ahead and defend it, especially with no Dawn up at this point in time. I just have to let the Bonnie go. But, we have a Bonnie and a Momonosuke for later. Perfectly fine. After he swings with the Kaido, he can play an Onigashima because he's not under a lot of pressure. He can go ahead and at 4 play a Jack to ramp 1, or the 4-drop Basil Hawkins. There's just a bit he can do. So he asked me for which card I added. I go ahead and I show him the Killer. And Killer is basically just a blocker. If you have a Dawn under him and you have 3 cards on the board, including himself, you just draw a card. He kind of cycles for himself, which makes him a very fantastic card. So he's going to go ahead and do some thinking. He's actually going to decide to swing in with his 2K blocker, which is very interesting here. And he's going to attach 1 to his leader, he's fishing for a 2K from me. I don't seem to have it at this point in time, so I decide to take the damage. He's going to go 3 for Onigashima. Very interesting play. By doing this play, he kind of forces me to swing at the blocker. Both of my cards on the board, even though I have 2 character cards on the field, they don't contest his blocker at all. So it's going to have to be my Killer swinging over his blocker. I mean, this is just too easy to take down. I have to kind of do it. I'm at 5 Dawn here, but even at 5 Dawn, there's very limited options that I have. So I go ahead and I play the Bonnie. Now, Bonnie's going to go ahead and, again, make me bottom deck so many cards. It's like Izu, Waterfall. So all 3 Waterfalls in my deck are at the bottom of my deck at this point in time. So I kind of expect to get them. I also don't go ahead and I rearrange the cards in the order that I should when I go and bottom deck them, just in case we get there again. Especially with all these surgers, we might end up seeing the bottom of our deck once again. I'll go Momonosuke. It's just unfortunate when I get a very heavy Wano hand, it's Bonnie that's searching. When I get a heavy Supernova hand, it is Momonosuke that's searching. Now I go ahead and add Cad Viper. Cad Viper is absolutely terrible in this matchup. It's only very seldomly good. but unfortunately, at the end of the day, he's still a 1k counter. So I can't complain about just adding a 1k counter. So I go ahead and I double search, and I use the 3 Dawn that I have remaining to go ahead and play a killer, and then put a Dawn under him. My opponent now, because of the Onigashima, is going to be very ahead in Dawn here, as he is at, I believe, 7 or 8, probably 7, because he started on evens. Yeah, 7. So he's on 7 Dawn here, and 7 Dawn will be absolutely terrifying because if he plays the 7-drop King, he can go ahead and take basically my entire board without any response from me. He goes ahead and taps the stage, goes to 8 with 1 rested. And yeah, it's basically 7-drop King, and we're in the gutter. Let's see how he does this. I think he wants to swing at one of my searches here. Deciding to swing at the Bonnie. I'm going to take this block here with the killer, because killer's going to go ahead and get me that draw on the block. I don't see any reason not to block here because it baits out him to play a card. So he's going to king. That's perfectly fine. That is still a king, but it's not the king. So thank the Lord. So he goes ahead and minuses 1. Back down to 7. Keeps 1 up. By keeping 1 up, it's a little scary because it like shows blast breath. But I think we're okay at this point in time. We're not totally screwed yet. So we'll go 5 at lead. Again, once I 5 at lead with this deck, it kind of denotes that I have a weird little game plan going on. It means that... It kind of means that like I'm going to use my entire Dawn. Like I'm not... By me not attaching any to my leader means I'm using everything. So if I'm at 7 here, which I should be, this is probably a great turn for me to deploy my 7-drop blocker, just to get some pressure with it. I also seem to have a base... Like my hand seems very mid. It's like 3 Veggies, a Basil, a Cat Viper. Let's see, 2 Cat Vipers, and 2 Killers. So yeah, that's my hand, and that 7-drop. So at this point in time, I don't hate the 7-drop, like deploying the 7-drop. He's just a very heavy card that if I don't play him now, I never play him. And then I'm holding on to the Veggies as much as I can because I know that he has to 10-drop Kaido me at some point where I'm going to get to at this game. Since the purple deck has no interaction for 7-drops, and like in the limited battle series, that's why they struggled so heavily versus green in the past, because even their 9-drop Kaido does not out my 7-drop. So this 7-drop is just going to murder him by himself unless he 10-drops me. So my thought process was, if he 10-drops me, then I have to go ahead and like play blockers out, because then that's the only way I'm chum blocking him, because there's no shot that I'm ever defending a 12k that's turning sideways every single turn. So I need those Veggies in my hand, and I'm just holding them. Doing my best possible just to at least like I kind of understand the matchup, but I wasn't as aggressive as I needed to be early. Like he's still at 5 life. It's not good. It's turn 3 for me. 4. It is turn 4 for me. I can't tell on the first turn. So I have had 3 turns of attacks and I've had not one successful interaction, which is terrible. I want to have at least had some pressure on him, put him at least to 4 to 3, just to make the game a little easier. Because remember, at the end of the day, I want to eat his hand and then just go bam, bam, finish the game. And that's what I've noticed at a green out of more than any other deck. I can take the pain and then just swing the game back easily off the back of my leader and my very powerful tools in my cards. So he goes and attaches 3 to his Kaido. I am not defending this. There's no way I'm dumping my entire hand to block this. I pick up an Okiku. Maybe it's a little too late for you, Okiku, but whatever. We can't be too upset. That card is very, very good. So he goes ahead and attaches 1 Dawn to King. So being left with 5 Dawn open, I'm kind of okay taking this block because there's no way that this blocker ever gets dealt with. At the end of the day, this is probably a queen, or he's kind of like, he's telegraphing that he's going to drop a queen. So I go ahead and I double block here with Cat Viper and X-Drake. I just don't think X-Drake is going to do anything at this point in time. It's a little too late for deploying a 5-drop, and he just goes ahead and does the queen as telegraphed. So he's going to go ahead and draw 2. And pitch 1. It's just really hard to... I have to practice One Piece again, because when we were playing the limited battles, I was like so aware of like how many possible cards in their hand could be counters. With the extension of set 1, that becomes so unbelievably difficult, because every deck has about 12 2Ks. So sometimes I'd be like, there's no way he has another 2K because they only had 4. Now when I'm trying to, denote for 12, very difficult to really push damage when you need to. So we finally go back to our turn. We're at 9 Dawn, and most certainly this card is going to get a Dawn attached to it. So I'm going to go ahead and put 1 Dawn and swing over the king. Now, that's absolutely fine. This card only begs for 1 Dawn because it restands off of the 1. So we're perfectly fine just committing 1 to it. This swing into the king basically baits a 2k, or he goes, oh, and he just blocks it with the queen. So by blocking it and letting the queen die, very, very scary. Because in my brain now, I'm like, this guy's planning on just 10 bombing me next turn. So if he's 10 bombing me next turn, let me make sure to bait him to do so. I want him to waste some cards in hand and then bomb me and then go for it. The issue is, here's one of my first misplays. If I think he's just going to bomb me, why don't I just go for the face? Why am I going for the king? If I'm like, I don't understand this swing more than anything. In the entire game that I played, knowing that he's telegraphing almost every single turn to me, and I'm just playing into it for whatever reason. So if I put 2 Dawn into this kid right now and just swung at leader, restood the kid, and swung at leader again, there's just very little that he can do about that. And I can still, off of that, yeah, he lets the king go because he understands that it's just going to die anyways. There's no point in losing any hand size. You only lose hand size when you need to, and I just didn't, even though I'm watching it now, and again, hindsight is 20/20. It's so easy now to be like, haha, I know what was going to happen, forehead, but I just didn't see it coming. So I decided to play my Momonosuke here. Just going to double tap for him. I don't even know if that's correct. If I know he's bombing me again, like, why would I go ahead and play Searcher into it? I want to save the Searcher for after, save my blockers for after, and just recuperate hand advantage and finish the game off. So this whole turn is the reason I lost this game more than anything that I believe. This for sure has to be. Now my hand is looking a little bit better as I'm starting to acquire some 2k counters. I'm finally able to defensive cards, but I'm losing all my offensive options. I just have a lot of defense in my hand in the form of veggies. Which, yeah, Al Capone's a great card, but I don't think he can single-handedly win me the game. Yeah, my leader's broken, but is it broken enough to finish this game? I don't even use the 3 rest of my Dawn because I understand I'm walking into the 10 drop if I use them. So it's just, there's so many questionable things. Like, I know I have a Basil Hawkins in my hand, and I could have, like, paid 3, pitched the Basil, swung 7 at face. But I need the Basil to at least establish some board presence in the following turn because my hand is just so abysmal. So, yeah. Man, it's so much easier to tell these things once you're like watching it back. And that's the important thing about like recounting your games. Because like you play your games and you think like, oh, there's absolutely nothing that I could have done poorly that game. Like I lost because my deck sucks and, you know, I'm the best player ever. And it's really easy to just fall into that fallacy of like, I did nothing wrong. There's nothing I could have done. This deck's just better. So after he blows up my board, he'll go ahead and 5. So I finally defend this. And I just can't keep taking hits, right? Because purple is super scary. They have Onigashima. They'll get to 10 again. And at 10 again, they will do the burn plus hit me with 12k. Like, that is something I have to be cognizant of. There is no world where I don't take 2 life that turn. So even though I'm at 3, I'm actually at 1. I got to be very careful here. So I go ahead and I attach 1 to Kid. Man, I am being so greedy with these Dawn placements. Because what is 1? 1 is a 2k. So, I mean, I guess I calculated correctly because he finally takes the hit. But I still have a huge mountain to climb in the form of 4 more lives that he has. So I have to deploy this Okiku here. I have to go ahead and deploy this Basil. And I got to go ahead and play this Beji. These are all things that I'm forced to do because those are the strongest cards in my hand and none of them have combo power. So I need to go ahead and take all the combo finally out of my hand, start chump blocking this 12k, and get board control that he has to play into this Okiku. Being back down at 6 Dawn, I think he's at 7 active. My goodness, because he goes, yep, he's at 7 active. So 7 active, terrifying, by the way. You can go ahead and drop the 7 drop here, which would be terrible because it would drop the Okiku and the Beji down, and then I'm just forced to take this 12 and then defend whatever he puts onto the Kaido. And then I'm in a really tough spot. But then he's minus 2 more Dawn. It's still terrible. He'll then be at 8. Well, I guess we'll see what he does here. But at 7 Dawn, there is a lot he can do. You know, there's 2 specific kings that are very, very scary. If he doesn't have the kings, and this is why I played the Okiku, he doesn't have the kings, I kind of say any queens, anything else that you play on the board, Okiku is going to help me manage, right? Because in succession with the Basil Hawkins, Okiku will suspend something, and then Basil will force you to just let it die. Basil is absolutely nuts. So we'll see how this goes from here. The issue is if he has the king, he'll just slam the king and kill the Basil, and we're just really sad. Because that's the biggest offensive power we have in our hand. And if we lose him, oh boy, we're going in for some pain. So he's going to go ahead and 8 me. And this is... By leaving 4 Dawn up, we know that there's a very little that he can do left this turn. I still have 2 Veggies in my hand. I know I can just chump block him for a bunch of turns, and I don't have enough 2Ks. I don't want to dump all of my 2Ks into this. But this was a good time to go double 2K, because that's the perfect counter. I'm not over-comboing at all into that specific attack. Because of my greed, I let the hit go through, and I'm rewarded with another 2K. And it's not even a reward, it's just... I don't even know what to say. It's just like compensation for poor gameplay. So I'm going to go ahead and veggie block here. And then he's going to go ahead and tap 3. The 3 is going to be... Man, what can it be 3 for? Oh, a jack. Interesting. So that jack has a 1 attacking effect. I have barely played that jack. I just know him as a 1k counter that situationally has an effect. I asked him to read it for me. So then he goes back to my turn. I finally get some counters. So we're back to Paradise Waterfall, by the way. Which this is now the bottom of my deck. You know exactly what should be in this course around, because we've already bottom deck 3 waterfalls. And if we've already seen 3 waterfalls, then we should know what's left in the deck. But because of poor management and filtering from when I put the cards on the bottom, I have no idea what I have no idea what's going on. So I should have more knowledge here than I actually do. So I'm gonna go 6 to the face, trigger Okiku to tap the jack. Yeah, Okiku's broken. So yeah, there's no way I'm killing this Kaido. There's just no shot. He has 1 Dawn up, showing Blast Breath. It's just not happening. So I do sink in 1 with this Okiku, which is really good. Meaning his hand is really mediocre. I mean, he has a very low hand, so I'm kind of down to just start munching. I go Basil. Basil will restand himself, and then I'm going to go ahead and swing. Basil being a 7k attack is really nice. So it's going to bait a 2k and a 1k, which I'm most certainly sure he has at this point, but he's going to have to like start dumping some cards, or he can just Blast Breath me. Really doesn't matter how he does it, but he has to do it one way or another. I've only expended 2 Dawn, and I've, like, forced a lot of interaction, which is really nice. Yep, he's just going to Blast Breath me now. Go down to 5, I believe. 1, 2, 3. No, I forget the 3 that's on him. 7. So he'll be at 9 next turn, so Rush Kaido will come down. So I go ahead and I put 3 into my kid, and now it's time that we do the kid thing where we do the kid thing. So we'll go ahead and 8k swinging at Kaido. He's going to, like I said, this is a perfect double 2k counter, so he goes for it. He's down to 3 cards in hand now. No way I don't just tap 3 here. Yeah, I should use Kid's effect by tapping another 3. I'm going to pitch the Kitty because I don't think the Kitty's ever going to do anything for me. I decided to dump Paradise Waterfall because I think I'm pretty sure I know what I'm doing in terms of the rest of my turn. So I go ahead and I swing for that 8. That 8 for sure connects, and I'm going to go double here into double Veggie. And these are the cards that I've been pocketing since like the 3rd turn of this game. I've been holding them for this scenario, and then we're just talking back and forth. He's like, how do you have 2 more Veggies? And I'm like, bro, I've been holding this for years. This was the plan. But yeah, it seems a little sacky, right? You still have to see him. But I have bottom decked a bunch of fantastic cards, which does not feel great. But on the upside, I should actually know what they are. I'm just bad. So here we are in this board state. Now, he's at 2 life, and I got a Okiku, a Basil, and the leader. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 swings next turn, potentially. Basil will just be eating, man. And there's no way you can play any blockers. So at this point in time, I'm not really sure what he's thinking in terms of this turn, but it's going to get a little dicey here for me, I think. So at 9 Dawn, I think what he can do, again, so he doesn't have the king. If he has the king, it's a pretty easy king. Kill Veggie, kill the Okiku. Then he'll swing into the Basil Hawkins with like 2 Dawn under his under his Kaido. And then he can swing into it with his other Kaido. And then he can just kind of like contest my entire board there. And I have to let all my offensive pressure go because I need this Veggie more than anything. If he has the 9-drop, then we're in a different scenario entirely. So let's see how he goes about it. If he has the 9-drop, he for sure kills Basil Hawkins, and then he tries to kill the Okiku, but I block the Okiku because I just need more of my board to kill him at some point in time. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. He'll go 5 into 4, and 5 into 5, and yep, that just baits a Cat Viper from me. I will dump him because he is a useless kitty in this matchup. Let's see where we go from here. Yeah, he just has 9 Dawn. There's just so much that he can do with the 9 Dawn. It's so freaking scary, man. And that's the thing. Like, you have to calculate what you think purple can do. Even though purple has a bunch of strong cards they can drop on 9, they only can drop 1, right? There's only one of them that's an option. And, like, let's say you know all of their options, all of their big cards. It's only, like, 4 cards. It's not that hard to know those things. So you try to know which one is the scariest in these scenarios, and you try to play around that one. If he has weaker ones, then you're totally fine. You can take a weaker turn as as a least optimal turn is still probably bad for you, but you know, you have to prepare yourself for the worst case scenario. And if you can identify the worst case scenario and play around the worst case scenario, then you're in a good spot, right? So he went in for regular Kaido. Now he's going biggest Kaido, and that always takes a block. That guy never ever touches me until he does. And then he's gonna 9-drop me here, it seems. The way that he picked up his cards. Yeah, he's gonna 9-drop me. He's putting the minus Dawn first. And he's just gonna be not even the biggest Kaido anymore, but he's still big Kaido. So he's gonna go ahead and take over the Basil Hawkins, and he's probably gonna rush into my Okiku, or yeah. And unfortunately, I kind of have to block this, but this puts me on a 1-turner, right? I have to 1-turn him. I did top deck a killer there, which is kind of good, but is it good enough? He has, I believe, 3 to 4 cards in hand, no Dawn up at this point in time. So it depends. I can go for game depending on the response from this specific attack. So I go 7, right? At 7 to his hand, I'm trying to over combo him. He has to get a 2k and a 1k. I'm not putting him on 1ks anymore. There's no shot he has 1ks. This deck plays like 12 2ks and like 4 1ks. So 7 is a good number against them. So I'm going to go 7. Show me the 2k. And there's no way he can Blast Breath me anymore. Maybe he has like a Blast Breath in hand. And that's when he goes double 2k. So yes, he does over combo me. But in doing so, he most certainly stops me from killing him. Because I can't. I needed that swing to. I needed it to connect, right? So with knowing that the 7 was so difficult for him to block, I know I can get away with just a 7 on him. And now I have to figure out a way to not die. I know I have 3 2k counters in hand, and I'm like, man, that's a lot of 2k counters. I'm gaming. But here's another fallacy. Why did I... Oh, la, 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 la. Why did I drop another 2k? I didn't have to kill him this turn. I just did not have to do it because he's going to try to kill me on his following turn. And by doing so, he's going to expend 7 Dawn on his hero power. And then my Okiku and hero would just kill him. And even if he played a blocker at the end of it, Okiku would just say, shut up. Pain and suffering. My hand was too good. There was no card I wanted to discard there, and I should not have discarded a card. So once again, punished. Man, it's so good to rewatch your games and show that you're just actually bad. This is how you get better, no, guys? So here we are once again. It's back to the purple player's turn. I think he's talking here like, oh, you got it. I'm just gonna scoop, and I'm like, no, like this is playtest. I'm like, don't scoop. You still got it. You have a 10, a 12, and a burn, and I only have 2 life. Like, there's no shot you don't kill me. He's like, yeah, but you have a blocker, and I'm like, yeah, but like, there's definitely has to be a correct amount of like Dawn placement that kills me here. There has to be. And he's like, well, you know what? Actually, there might be a way. He's like, yeah, if you do this, you know, this happens. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's do the math and let's try it out. And he's like, all right, fine. And so we're collectively, even though like, yes, this is not a tournament game. So in a tournament game, like it's very easy to mess up a scenario like this from either, from purple side. As you can see, I've already messed up like 4 times. So I need a little bit of, you know, luck on my side, but I don't get it, but it's fine. But even that, with that being said, I want the purple player to know that he can win from this scenario, and it is a winnable game state, even though he doesn't think it is. So that's what's cool about these things in One Piece. He's gonna go ahead and swing at me for 10 here. No, this is 7. This is 12. This is actually 12. And the problem with getting hit by 12 is that I have 3 2Ks in hand. I would have 4 2Ks, and I would have been able to block it, but I'm bad. And he goes and does the burn. He has 3 Dawn up. And he goes ahead and puts 12 here. And again, I was expecting to get anything, but I got Okiku from the top and then Okiku on the burn. That's where they've been this whole time, these dang broken cards. So then he 12s me, and he did the exact perfect number, right? Because had he gone 10 and 13, I would have died because there's no point. He knows that there's a blocker, so you just try to equalize. So you go 13-13 or 12-13. Doesn't matter how the order it is, but you definitely do it in that sense. I have 3 2Ks. That puts me all the way up to 11, but I had the 4th one. I would have been all the way up to 13, which would have been game. Had I not swung there, restood with my kid and swung again, I would have had this game. But that's what it's all about. That's how you find the one piece. My opponent wanted to give up. He had lethal. I messed up, but I could have had lethal in the crackback. And it's just, and then at this point in time, we have a lot of people watching, a lot of people play testing together, and we're all just like saying different things that we could have done in order to win that game. And we're trying to do the math out, and it's just, that's how you get better, guys. Watching videos like this, making sure you watch your own replays. If you go out there and you start recording your videos, go ahead and do so. It's really interesting because even this, I thought I played pretty okay this game with the hands that I was given. No, I played like trash. I want to say trash, but like I definitely made a lot of mistakes. And by making those mistakes and noting, okay, I should have done this, should have done that, you'll just be playing better and better in the future. And as always, play test. Try to understand what makes your deck good, what makes your opponent's deck good. Try to know what they could possibly have in hand. Understand the depth of knowledge that exists in the game. It is only set 1, so it's very easy to go ahead and understand what cards could be in my opponent's deck and try to put them on them. So do your best, guys. Continue playing, continue gaming. See you next time. We're going to be uploading a ton of videos like this in this specific format in the upcoming week because it is release week and I want to get as much content for One Piece out there as I can. And as always, guys, stay gaming. Ahoy!